He has a series coming up in the fall.
Yeah, called Martin, yeah.
Yeah, now I watched the pilot episode, and I knew what he was doing because they had told me about it. I liken it to Coming to America, where you play a lot of different characters and sometimes you interact with yourself. Yeah. And I'm saying, how is Martin gonna do this every week, right? Yeah. And I watched the pilot. Homie pulls it off. I mean, and that Shenehneh character?
Yeah.
He plays a girl across the hall, right?
Yeah, she lives next door to me, but it's the roundaway girl, you know, the neighborhood LL Cool J's roundaway girl, the girl with the earrings, and the young girls that always have the hairdo and just know how to coordinate everything that they dress, and just got much attitude. How you doing, Arsenio? How you doing? Oh, look at Arsenio. He look good, don't he?
Everybody know her.
I mean, you know that girl, man.
Yes.
And then, you know, like if a roundaway girl comes up to you and you say hello and you don't speak, oh my goodness. I said, yo, I know you ain't gonna try to not speak with your little tall self. He make me sick. I mean, I love that girl, man.
Yeah.
I love him, man. I can't date him, though. You know?
Really?
I just can't date him because, you know, you can take him to a restaurant, man. You want something to eat? Oh, okay, do they got french fries here? I love them, man. They're real cool.
The show is going to do well. Now, when will they be able to see it?
This coming fall, Martin.
What's up, everyone? It's Books and Looks TV. Today, I'm going to be talking about misogynoir in comedy and its impact, particularly through the character Shenehneh Jenkins, played by Martin Lawrence on his 1990 sitcom Martin. So Martin was basically a hit in the Black community, basically seen as a cultural phenomenon in Black entertainment. Lawrence's comedic range and memorable characters played a key role in the show's success. Among these characters, Shenehneh Jenkins, the boisterous, over-the-top character of a Black woman, remains one of the most iconic to many. Yet Shenehneh has also become one of the most controversial, as her portrayal perpetuates harmful stereotypes and contributes to what scholar Moya Bailey describes as misogynoir, the intersection of racism and sexism directed at Black women. Adding to the harm is the character's name, Shenehneh, which became a cultural shorthand for what society deems ghetto. This association stigmatized Black girls with Afrocentric names, leading to shame around cultural heritage. In this video essay, I'm going to discuss the legacy of Shenehneh, unpack stereotypes that were perpetuated through the character, and explore how this portrayal fits into a broader history of Black entertainers navigating a landscape riddled with prejudice. To understand the harm of Shenehneh's character, we must recognize the historical context behind such portrayals. Many stereotypes of Black women originated during slavery and were deliberately created to serve a specific agenda. As Dr. David Pilgrim explains, the depiction of Black women as sassy emerged as a social construct mechanism. It serves to demonize Black women, humiliate Black men, and absolve slave owners of guilt. Pilgrim notes acceptance of that sassiness implied that slavery and segregation were not overly oppressive. These stereotypes also work to punish Black women who defied societal norms that demanded they be passive, servile, non-threatening, and invisible. Instead, the sassy stereotype framed assertive or outspoken Black women as angry, thereby justifying their mistreatment and social marginalization. Shenehneh's exaggerated sassiness falls directly into this harmful trope, portraying her as an aggressor who deserves ridicule and negative consequences. Though I feel like a lot of people often just see her as a sense of comedic relief, media can shape the perception of many people, especially those who don't think logically or who don't come in contact with Black women. Shenehneh was introduced as Martin Payne's eccentric neighbor and self-described hairdresser. Despite her role as a stylist and her attempts to present herself as fashionable, Shenehneh's appearance was deliberately exaggerated to be comedic and unflattering. Her outlandish outfits, garish makeup, and towering hairstyles were not just a reflection of her personality, but a mockery of a particular aesthetic associated with working-class Black women. Shenehneh's personality was equally exaggerated, depicted as aggressive, loud, and confrontational. She frequently antagonized Gina, Martin's girlfriend and later wife, and often started petty arguments or threatening physical confrontation. This dynamic framed Shenehneh as an intimidating, combative figure reinforcing the stereotype of the angry Black woman. At the same time, her desperation for male attention was a recurring theme in the show. Whether she was pursuing Martin or expressing a longing for a relationship, Shenehneh was portrayed as comically undesirable, a caricature that mocked Black women's femininity and romantic aspirations, particularly dark-skinned Black women. Her name added another layer of harm. Shenehneh became synonymous with ghetto, a term that carries derogatory connotations of classism, inferiority, and unsophistication. Just imagine being a Black girl named Shanae or Shenehneh and people automatically judging you because of the character they see on TV or just the ongoing racism that was associated again with Black-centered names. Scholars have noted how names with Afrocentric roots, like Shenehneh, are often ridiculed or used to signify a lack of refinement.
Give your child that Black or ethnic name, because if then people can pronounce Skolchki, they can pronounce Attila, okay? And what's so annoying to me is that there are people that literally will not hire people named Jaquavius, even though they meet all the requirements and necessary functions for the job, just because their name is Jaquavius. Look at that story about that person that applied for that hotel job with his ethnic name. And that hotel did not want to interview him, and then he reapplied with a name like Chad or Annabelle, and they called him back. And now I think that person is suing, as they should. These employers out here will look at your name and decide to throw your application in the trash. And to be quite honest, I'm not naming my child no Annabelle, okay, or Sarah Lynn, just so they can get a job working for some races that probably shouldn't be a boss or an employer in the first place, because they discriminate against people based on their names. I'm not doing that. I'm naming my child something affirming. And yes, it is an ethnic name. But why should I have to change my practices, my cultural practices, for my child to be able to exist in society? This is what is crazy to me. If you're an employer that's discriminating against people based on their name, we need to round you up and lock you up, and you need to earn your way out. You should not be hiring or employing people at all whatsoever.
Hey y'all, so growing up, I was a little Black girl with a unique name. And even as an adult, I guess you can say I'm a Black woman with a unique name. My name is Santania, and growing up, I would not say I hated my name, but I definitely learned to love my name. Growing up, people can pronounce it, or whatnot. But in my civilian workplace, I go by my name. I feel as if I shouldn't have to go by a nickname to make other people feel comfortable. So I go by my name. And besides that, I learned to love my name. So I go by my name in my civilian workplace. And the crazy thing is, when people see my name and they've never met me, they think I'm Mexican or Hispanic, in which I'm neither of those, as you can see. But like I said, I've never met anyone with it. I'm just, so proud to have a unique name that I do have. And I was actually named after a soap opera. I wasn't named directly after the soap opera, which thank God I wasn't, because at this point I think I would have changed my name. But drop your unique name, little Black girls, Black women, drop your unique name in the comment below. And my name is spelled Santonia. But drop the comments below. Bye.
The stigma disproportionately impacted Black girls with similar names, causing many to feel ashamed of their cultural identity. Cooper explains, the attack on Black names is an attack on Black identity itself, pushing individuals to distance themselves from their heritage to achieve societal acceptance. Misogynoir is not a new phenomenon in comedy, particularly in portrayals of Black women by male comedians. Characters like Shenehneh are part of a long tradition of Black male comedians dressing as women to evoke laughter. This practice dates back to the minstrel era, when Black entertainers had to adopt demeaning caricatures to perform for white audiences. Shenehneh's exaggerated mannerisms and speech echo these caricatures, reinforcing stereotypes that continue to harm Black women today. There is an author named James Shenehneh, and he wrote an article called The Funny Thing About Black Men in Dresses. In this article, he provides insight into why this trend is done. And he says that many portrayals of Black men in drag are intertwined with minstrelsy, a form of entertainment that thrived on degrading Black identity. He argues that these caricatures, which were common in minstrel shows of the 19th and early 20th century, persist in modern media. Shenehneh's character draws from this tradition, blending humor with visual elements of minstrelsy to exploit negative stereotypes of Black women for entertainment. Shenehneh also points out a troubling pattern. Black entertainers often face social prejudice if they refuse to conform to these stereotypes. This pressure can push performers to shuck and jive, a term that recalls the exaggerated, subservient personas Black actors were historically forced to adopt to survive in the entertainment industry. Shenehneh's existence is emblematic of this struggle, where success in mainstream comedy often comes at the expense of reinforcing damaging tropes. The legacy of Shenehneh extends beyond the screen, impacting how society views Black women and their cultural markers.
I promise I'm trying to mind my business. I was just about to make me a toasted bagel with some jam, but it hit me. Martin Lawrence finally found his pocket, right? At this point, I'm studying comedy. He found his pocket. He found how to make his audience laugh.
Oh, ain't no way.
Look at his audience. You see them. Do you know when they got the cracking up the most? When he started making fun of Black women. Oh, it breaks my heart. It breaks my heart. But the reality is, this audience was most amused when Martin Lawrence was making fun of Black women. So it's not even just about emasculating these men by putting them in dresses. They really like making fun of us. Shenehneh, Wanda, like they just really like making fun of us Black women. They love to degrade us however they can. That's how you end up with a sick.
Alright y'all, here's my take on the character of Shenehneh.
What do you want, Shenehneh?
Oh my goodness. If it isn't Little Miss Attitude, why are you always over here? I mean, don't you have a bag?
Now let me say this first, because a lot of women were in my comments on my last video saying that Shenehneh was definitely an offensive character, and I agree. Martin had no business playing the character of Shenehneh. I would have much rather preferred for an actual Black woman to have played Shenehneh, similar to Brenda in Scary Movie and some of Shenehneh's friends from the show. Now for my take, and hear me out. Besides Shenehneh being an obviously offensive character to Black women and Black culture, I'm willing to say that the show actually did take the time to develop Shenehneh out of that stock stereotype. First and foremost, Shenehneh always commanded the attention anytime she was in the room. She was very confident in herself and she knew that she was beautiful. The show even showed Shenehneh as being desirable several different times. And even when the show did try to paint Shenehneh as undesirable, the characters that took part in it were reprimanded. For example, in the episode Forever Shenehneh, where Gina scalded Kid for his mistreatment of Shenehneh when Shenehneh had been nothing but kind to him. In addition, Shenehneh also rebuked the advances of non-Black men.
You want to get with me just like Bart does, huh? You want yourself a sister, don't you? Oh, no, won't happen here because Shenehneh ain't with the swirl, all right?
She was extremely independent. She had her own apartment. She never needed the help of the main cast. In fact, they almost always went to her for help.
Piston tickets. For tonight's game, I got piston tickets. Front red.
Okay, look, Shenehneh, I will do anything for those tickets, okay?
You said any?
Shenehneh was also a business owner. She ran a salon and she took her business seriously.
I knew I shouldn't have trusted you with my customers.
Shenehneh, I was just trying to help.
Help me into the poorhouse.
The show also depicted her as talented. Remember, she won the Golden Weave Award and she also won Biggie's talent show. And finally, there are moments where the audience really roots for Shenehneh and she triumphs over the main cast. One of my favorite episodes that does this is called Sophisticated Ladies. In the episode, Pam and Gina are trying to get into this upper echelon league of women, and in a very bigoted way, they tell Shenehneh and her friend Laquita that they'd never be able to make it. And guess what ends up happening in the end?
Thank you so much, ladies. We're so happy to
I'm sure you are. For our two newest members, Shenehneh and Laquita.
Through the character of Shenehneh, the show teaches us that we don't always have to bend to respectability politics, and it's always important to be yourself no matter what. So that was my take on Shenehneh, but can we talk about Pam though?
For Martin Lawrence, the backlash against Shenehneh raises questions about accountability and whether comedic genius can excuse perpetuating systemic oppression. So, in conclusion, Shenehneh is a character that occupies a complex space in Black cultures, particularly Black cinema culture. While she remains a beloved part of Martin's comedic legacy, her portrayal perpetuates harmful stereotypes that contribute to misogynoir and stigmatize Black women. From Shenehneh's exaggerated mannerisms to the ridicule surrounding her name, Shenehneh exemplifies how entertainment can exploit marginalized identities for profit. So let me know what your thoughts on this subject. Did you like or dislike the Shenehneh character? And thank you so much for listening to Books and Looks TV. I'll see y'all next time.